I would get another little quick walk in. The weather's nice. It's going to be humid because it's been raining, but it's reasonably nice out here. So I thought, let's get a little bit of sunshine. Let's get a walk in. And, this may not last long. I'll see how I feel with it, see how the stream goes. And if we don't get a decent little stream going here, I'll just go back inside, shower, and get back on the bike for a bit. Not a big deal, if we can't get a good stream going. But yeah, I thought, what the heck, let's get a little bit of a walk. And again, I may not do a really long walk here. I don't know. I did over an hour already on the first one, and then I'll go back and get more bike cardio. For now, though, the bike cardio isn't as big of a deal on the multiple streams. It will be eventually, to where I really need to switch to that a lot. But in the meantime, let's just get up and stay active, stay on top of the list. And so again, getting an extra walk in just in between, and then I'll go back and obviously hit some more of that. But I want to make sure I get some sunlight today, right? I want to try to get some sun and some fresh air no matter what. And again, the first one, it was still dark when I finished, so, not necessarily ideal for that. So at the very minimum here, I want to at least get a short walk before we go back and do more bike stuff. I thought I would, again, obviously we're going to stream it. Again, dependent upon the ability to keep a connection going here. But so far, it's not. There we go. We're getting some people in finally. We're finally getting some people in. Yeah. The bike streams take a little bit more work to set up, mainly because I have to move all my desk around, unfortunately. The only downside to it, I have to pull my bike over to my desk, and I've got to put all my keyboard and webcam and microphone and everything up on it. But still not bad. Coach back out of the outdoors. Yeah, I was going to do the second one of these on the bike, but I'm like, I want to at least get some fresh air today. Appreciate it, Peppermint. I want to get some fresh air and get a walk. And like I said, if this stream isn't really productive, I might cut it really short and go back inside. Not a big deal. But if it turns out to be a really productive stream, I might just walk it out. For now, okay. Mickey says, Jay Masters said in a live stream recently that you deserve serious praise for your consistent lifting and advice. I appreciate that, man. I guess thank you to Jay. Facts. I'm trying to always put out information, It's like I have someone's really upset with the amount of posterior chain work I put out in that intermediate program. It's almost something worth mentioning. I think people are failing to understand how much posterior chain development most guys would get off 3 sets of deadlifts, hard deadlifts based of the week, But again, stuff I've been realizing more and more, if we're going to push general fitness, eventually most people are going to be doing some GPP anyways. But it was just me structuring an intermediate program there. But of course, people can throw some reverse hypers and things in. But I don't think people are grasping that 3 hard sets of deadlifts done on a full body, spaced out through the week, is a lot more posterior chain work than most people realize. Meaning, could a person get to a 500 deadlift doing that? I think they can. Can they build the hamstrings and glutes to deadlift 500? I think so. So I don't feel that it's really that unwarranted. So again, I don't think people understand how much the deadlift brings to the table with relatively modest volumes sometimes. And I know if we're talking about chasing maximum hypertrophy for bodybuilding or high-level powerlifting, I get it. But when we're talking the general fitness person, again, I don't think people really grasp how much posterior chain 3 hard sets of deadlifts spaced through the week will give them. Coach would be doing 90% overhead press, then doing wide bench heavy. What? I don't understand the question. Ask it differently. Right. Oh, wait, you're asking, no, I wouldn't do a heavy overhead press than bench, honestly. I honestly feel like why, I'm not sure why you're trying to do it that way. You're going to take a movement that's not going to work the pecs, an overhead press, and then bench. I'm not really sure what you're trying to achieve with this. Coach, random question: besides fitness and bodybuilding knowledge, do you have any favorite? We don't discuss non-fitness on here anymore, Mickey. I want my YouTube channel to be exclusively fitness content. Television shows are not fitness content. I'll do some of that more a little bit on Facebook because I'm a little more conversationally there. Facebook, but YouTube, I want this YouTube channel to be 100% nothing but fitness moving forward. It's what I'm trying to do with my brand, right? And I just don't see what that has to do with fitness. So, you know, all right. But, so no, I can't say peppermint that would really be what I would do. If we're talking about getting that muscle fiber recruitment, that you're going to activate potentially more for potentiation, I wouldn't do a shoulder exercise before benching for that. Where's the chest? Maybe do a 90% bench and then bench press. Or you could do the bench and then overhead press. But I wouldn't do it the other way. I think you're not really understanding what we're trying to achieve with that single first. No, I never said not benching the workout, but so I'm assuming you're going off of that video I made today, right? The one that I put up, right? So you're talking about the potentiation of a heavy single prior to rep work. So where's the chest? So where's the chest potentiation before the benching? You're doing an overhead press. See, it doesn't work in this context. Right? Because the biggest muscle involved, if a bodybuilder style bench, the pec is going to be the most important primary mover. It's going to get the most growth stimulus. Well, you skipped it. I get it, coach. You need to work. Well, no, it's not necessarily the same muscles. It's that they need to, how do I put it? If all the muscles involved in the exercise you do for the reps isn't done with the potentiation single, it's not effective. Does that make sense? Right? You're skipping the main primary mover with the potentiation. So, I mean, you might as well have just said, hey, could I do a skull crusher one at max? And it's like, well, no, where's the chest? The bench is a chest exercise. You did potentiation with a shoulder and tricep movement. Right. Well, at the very least, at least the most important primary mover. In this case, you skipped the biggest one. Can creatine cause kidney issues? Not that I'm aware of. I mean, I guess any concerns for that would be based on dehydration or something, but not that I'm aware of. Hey, Rufio, what's up? Rufio, you missed the first two streams. I actually addressed your comment in the first one. No, I don't think the CrossFitters are juiced to the gills. I think they're very mild steroid users. I'm not seeing anything in most of those CrossFit physiques to me that screams a gram of gear. You know? So I don't know why we're comparing guys who might be using 300 milligrams to pro bodybuilders. Like, I don't think we can make that comparison at all. You know? All right. Coach, there's a guy in my gym selling the ice cream fighter program as a personal trainer. What, he's using my program? Well, you know what? I guess that's cool. If hopefully maybe he directs people to my channel. And as long as that's the case, then it's all good. I have to do some more research, but I know there's definitely on a lot of stuff. Yeah, but so Rufio, So I want you to step back and think about that for a minute and ask, how would that even enhance their performance? Like Rufio, if you took an average IFBB pro bodybuilder stack and you had a CrossFitter trying to do that type of training to his stack, he would place worse. It would literally negatively impact his performance. So I'm going to go on a limb and say it's impossible. Right? So I'm going to ask a very serious, think this through for a moment. Do you really think a guy using 3 grams of test a week or throwing Trenin on top of 2 grams of test is going to be able to do that conditioning work they do? I don't think he'd survive the events. Have you looked how out of breath and everything that most pro bodybuilders are? And it's not just their size, it's the side effect of the drugs. So again, size limit, dude. And there's a certain point where more gear, the only benefit is more muscle mass. There's no other benefit. So unless those CrossFitters are trying to be IFBB pro size, there's no point in them using those sort of doses. What do most endurance type athletes run? What has been a standard test protocol for decades for endurance athletes is about 200 milligrams of test, right? A little growth hormone plus 200 test goes a real long way, doesn't it, for endurance athletes? So I'd be willing to bet that's more of what we're seeing with those CrossFitters. Same thing, you'd be like, well, they're using a bunch of, or you think they're using a bunch of orals and they're doing all that GPP. I don't think so. Why are we talking about floods in my fitness stream? This is a fitness channel. Next. I didn't get any flash flood warnings. I don't even know what you're talking about. Nothing came through my warnings. So, next. So again, just food for thought, Rufio. No, I don't think they're juiced to the gills at all. I think you see a little test, a little growth hormone. Probably about it. Right? That's what I see in those elite CrossFit physiques. That's what I'm seeing with the trained eye. That's what I'm thinking. Both in terms of performance and then overall muscle and what they need. I'd be willing to put it there. You know? Human, if you like the stream, I don't think that he did. I don't think he's hit like on this stream yet. He didn't. All right, he came in and asked about flash floods. Gyro says, is heavy back work beneficial maybe on conjugate program? I don't think I've heard you talk about it much. Sure, we do max deadlifts. What are you talking about? Right? So on conjugate, you're going to max on deadlift variations, good morning variations. So there you have, it's already part of it. What do you mean? We've talked about it a lot. And if you mean lat work, well, no, we don't need to go super heavy. We use those to build muscle, right? Literally do 5 to 20 rep sets, right? If you're going to talk conjugate. Where is not a stabilizer though? What are you talking about? Ove, please reword your question. I don't understand it. Because I've heard you speak about the heavy chins. Yeah, but we don't necessarily need really heavy chins. I mean, heavy being relative, right? I'm not telling you, no, I think for conjugate, you don't need to be maxing out on weighted chins and weighted pull-ups and things. I don't think it's necessarily beneficial. You have max deadlifts and stuff in there already. Do those with enough reps to build muscle, right? But I mean, I guess you could do some really heavy ones. I mean, just your training in general, if you really wanted to max on a chin up, I guess you could. Be careful of your biceps. Do them from a dead hang if you're gonna max, right? But on conjugate, no, I think there's enough other max effort work we don't need to think in terms of heavy. Like on conjugate, I don't recommend you do much heavy work outside of your ME lifts every week anyways. It's really about speed and building muscle at that point, honestly. If you're gonna run that system. Now, other systems, sure. I mean, you could test your maxes or train a max chin every now and then. Or you could do it and then do reps after. I think it would be fine if you were so inclined. Right? So, just saying it's an option. All right. Rufio, Coach, look at the way those CrossFitters train and how they manage recovery. Anabolics absolutely prevent the sport at the elite level. I have it MNC, but I don't think they'll live long. Hey, Rufio, again, they also wouldn't be able to do what they do on high doses. Rufio, do you have a lot of steroid experience? I'm gonna ask as a serious question. I know you're a good fan. Do you have a lot of experience with anabolics personally? Because if you tell me that you do and you've been around a lot of heavy gear users or used some moderately heavy doses, I don't see how you could draw the conclusion that CrossFitters would be capable of blasting high doses of anabolics and performing the way that they do. It's not possible. They have to have too much conditioning. I'm telling you, they're using a little test and some growth hormone. All right. After so many years in fitness, do you ever get frustrated with rehashing the same information, repetitive questions? Much more is there left? No, because people have to be educated. You know, some stuff, what I hate is repetitive questions not related to general fitness. You know, Michael? So, repetitive questions about me, I get annoyed by. Not understanding repetitive stuff about progressive overload or things like that, I don't mind. Because people need to learn those things. I get frustrated with, here's my one I really get pissed at. Every kid who asks me, can I do one cycle to get to my natural limit and then come off and go natural? Okay, that's a repetitive one that I literally want to hit kids in the face for at this point. Kids meaning 24-year-olds, not actual children. Like that's up there. All right. So, you know, that sort of stuff, yeah. But in terms of general fitness stuff, no. I mean, people have to keep being taught year after year after year. It's like asking as a school teacher, get tired of teaching basic math or the alphabet to kids, you know. They must be eating considerable certain amount like most elite athletes who do lots of cardio. Coach, do you ever recommend planks? Usually, I mean, I guess planks are okay if you enjoy doing them. I don't ever really. I mean, they could be all right. I've done them in the past. I've done weighted planks. I mean, do whatever ab work you feel that you need. Yeah, that's my point, Peppermint. I think most CrossFitters are doing endurance athletes type drug stacks. They have to because of the volumes of the conditioning work. They're not using heavy doses. You can't do it. It won't work. They would literally place last Like you try to do 2 grams a test, or you eat a bunch of Anadrol or Anavar, and you try to go do those events they do. I don't think so. All right, anyone who's ever used 100 milligrams of real Anavar is crying, laughing, thinking that you're going to go do power cleans to failure on 100 milligrams of bar. Yeah, I'm calling bullshit. They're going to go do that on 2 grams of test a week. No. They will be placing dead last. They'll be the last place dude up there. The guy will have a big squat, and he'll be dead last in every other event. They have to have endurance. What I think people don't get is a lean, high output athlete of how jacked they can look on 200 to 300 milligrams. That's what I think people are missing. I don't think you guys understand how jacked you can be at 9% body fat when you're pushing those limits, right? You know, when we come back to that other stuff of people not understanding how jacked 185 at 8% body fat really is. Again, people don't seem to have a context for these things sometimes. But yeah, 20% body fat's not healthy, actually, man, really. Let's be realistic, it really isn't. No one thinks that's optimal for health or appearance or athleticism, you know. Get more likes in here, by the way, though, guys. Get those likes up. It's getting bright, by the way. I don't know that I'm going to run this stream much longer because I can't read the screen. We can always go inside and go do more bike work instead of fighting with reading the screen. But at least I am getting some sunlight and fresh air while the sun is up. Got to make sure I get my vitamin D. And this ensures it, right? I wrestle at 20%. Yeah, I don't know what type of wrestling you're doing. Most elite, actual serious wrestlers are pretty lean. It's a weight class sport. Sumo wrestle, Bubba, right? I know athletes, sumo wrestlers, super heavyweight power lifters. Right? Oh man, you don't know anybody fit doing with 40%. Yeah, definitely not anybody fit. All right, these are not fit people. You know, we can at least agree to that much, I think. See if they can walk up a flight of stairs, right? But we need to have those conversations if we're going to talk fitness. We need to have those conversations. And we should have those conversations. Gustav says, hey, Jason. Hey, Gustav, what's up? I don't know that I'm going to keep this one going much longer. I'm probably going to head inside and do some bike work. All right. It's got sunny and bright on my screen, but I at least got over 20 minutes of extra sunshine. Do you think in general it's best to surround yourself with people? I agree. I think it is. Can you run? I can't read that. Sorry, Peppermint. It's too bright and your question's way too long. It doesn't seem that bright, but apparently it is, even with the screen protection. No, I don't think that's client Gustav. Can you run? Oh, can you run for bus? So ask him that. No, not a client. No, client Gustav's working crazy hours middle of the week. That's why we're only training 2 days a week. He literally wouldn't have time. If he had time to sit in one of these, he has time to get a workout. So his work's having him work a crazy schedule on the weekdays. That's why we're doing just weekend training. So, no. Like he had to tell me, hey, I'm gonna have to do this for like 6 weeks. I'm like, that's cool, man. We'll make it work. Guess I must be killing it on performance. Yeah, man. Hey, apparently, you know. So busy, busy, busy. This guy says, yo, what's up? So I'm not going to be in here much longer. I'm about to go back over to the bike. So, you know, we do what we got to do. But I wanted to get at least a quick walk, get some extra fresh air. Then we're going to go in and bike it up for a bit. All right. We going to bike it up. And yeah. I did throw some running shoes into my Amazon wish list though, just in case. I'll start running eventually. It's not going to be for a little bit. Not going to be for a bit. Again, we got to get leaner. How much do you weigh? I'm still 210, guys. That's why I'm stepping all this up. That's why I'm adding more cardio, tightening up the feed window. The scale is not dropping at a fast enough rate to do what we need to do. If you are low, what? You'll be going live on the bike? Yes, I'll be going live on the bike. It's going to be a short break in between though. You know, so it's going to be a short break in between though, because I need a quick shower. I got to set the bike up. Throw this phone on a charger for a few. So yeah, no, of course we're going to go live on the bike. So give me just a little bit and then I'll be in there. It won't be too long. But we got to do lots and lots of this. So we're out, guys.